right, hey guys, welcome to today's video. It feels so nice to sit down and to have a minute to talk to you guys and answer questions. We're wrapping gifts today, so I'm just happy to be able to chit chat with you. I feel like it's been way too long. I look like a hot mess, but I'm sure that every single one of you guys, if you are also in the process of wrapping gifts, you probably just look like me too, so I'm sure I'm not the only one. Today is December 21st, so we're cutting it close. I'm hoping to post this video probably like before Christmas Eve so that you guys too, if there's anyone like late in the game wrapping gifts, you guys can wrap with me. No one here actually wants to see my actual wrapping skills. We all know that I suck, but at least I can answer some questions. I've got to go back to my post to find my questions. That way we can chit chat, catch up, and then also get some stuff done. In regards to the whole like SANTA situation, by the way, Joe and I, we had a conversation about like how we were gonna do like the gifts. I think last year we did the same thing, but the kids have never been too like old enough to really understand the concept of like which gifts are from who. But just to like clarify things, we are gonna leave some of the toys unwrapped, and those are gonna be the ones that are from Santa. And then the ones that we're wrapping are gifts that we are going to be giving to the kids. That's how Joe grew up. Joe grew up doing that. I grew up, all of the gifts were from Santa, but that's enough of a compromise on my end where I feel like, okay, they're still getting toys from Santa. They're still excited to see their stuff from Santa, but then there's other gifts that are gonna be wrapped that are from us. And that honestly makes my life easier because there's less toys that I have to actually wrap. So I'm all in favor of going that route. So what I'm wrapping today is just the stuff that is gonna be from us. So I've got my wrapping paper. I went to Target with my sister and I got all of this from Target and they were decently priced. Like this one was $3 and it brings a good amount of paper. This one was $5 and it brings even more paper. So I'm sure I'm gonna be fine because I honestly don't even have that many gifts per kid that I'm wrapping. Like I definitely bought way too much wrapping paper. I thought I was gonna need more. I think today Joe is supposed to go do the stocking stuffers. That's like his job every year. So I'm excited for him to go through that and to see what kind of freaking crazy amount of money he spends because he's insane. He's either gonna come back having spent like just a crap ton of money that was absolutely unnecessary because he's not a bargain shopper. He's not the kind of guy that like looks for the deals. He's just like, oh, here, this is $50, okay, sure, here. And I'm like, you could have gotten it for like 25 somewhere else. So that's the difference between Joseph Buell and I. So he's either gonna do that, or he's gonna just end up like buying like a crap ton of candy and chocolate, like I think he did one year. So I can't wait to see what he ends up doing. I actually didn't bring all of the kids' gifts. I think I told you guys that maybe, or on Instagram I told you guys. As many of the toys that we did bring, because remember when we came here to my mom's house, I had to freaking bring a trailer. Like we rented a U-Haul to bring these toys so that the kids could have their toys for Christmas over here. But I did leave a lot of the stuff at home. Like a lot of the Melissa and Doug, like the taco set, the sandwich set, like a lot of those pretend play toys, I purposely left at home. That way I can just like grab those like on a random Friday and be like, here's a toy we get to play with. And then that way there's like less little parts all around my mom's house, less little parts that we're likely to lose. And then Everly's here, my niece, and there's a lot of little things that she can't get into. So I think that that will work out fine. They will not know, they will not miss out on it. And then we have toys when we get home. So it's a win-win for everybody. So let me get into some questions. I guess I can see like which ones have like the most likes. I don't know, I haven't done this in a while. But the first question, so why didn't you get rid of your formal dining room and create a playroom for your kids? Did somebody reply to that or did somebody else? Oh yeah, somebody else said, yes, the first time I saw the big old room with nothing but stuff piled on the big table, I was like, why the heck does she have her living room stuffed with all these toys? Well, that is an accurate depiction of my dining room right now. It's literally just a room packed full of, it's like a storage room. And the reason why I have not converted it and have not converted it into a homeschool room yet is because, again, there's a very real likelihood that very soon we may not be in that house anymore. And like, I don't have specific dates yet. I can't tell you like exactly when that is happening. But if I thought that I was going to be in that house for a lot longer, then I would have absolutely gone ahead with converting it and making it like made it more functional for our current state or whatever, because it would definitely be better used as a homeschool room or as a playroom. But I'm not gonna do it and then in a couple of months or 3 or 4 months or whatever the case is, then have to, you know, sell it. And then, like, I don't know, I just don't feel like going through the trouble. Plus, honestly, I haven't had time. Like, I'm hardly ever at my house long enough to do like a big project like that. And that would be a big project because I would really want it to look how I want it to look. I promise you that the next house that we move into, okay, like God willing, we end up down in Miami again sooner rather than later. Whatever house we buy, whenever we fix up the spaces, like there will be some kind of dedicated, like either playroom or homeschool area. Like if I don't need to have a dining room because like there's like a kitchen nook or whatever the case may be, depending on whatever the house layout is. If I don't need that space, like I just want my house to be functional, given that we're home, that we homeschool, and like the kids always have 5,000 million toys laying around. So I hope that answers your question. So this person said, hi Kayla, I was wondering if you ever stress yourself out worrying if you give each child enough attention. That's like a weird question. I mean, I don't know, like some days I'll definitely think about it, like, oh, I was like really, you know, focused on Riley and homeschooling today. Like, did I give Jackson enough attention? Or some days Jackson is like super clingy and all he wants to do is cuddle me on the couch, and then Riley's like doing her own thing. And then like I try to kind of compensate for it at the end of the day and give Riley some one-on-one time. Like, I don't think I ever lose too much sleep over it, given that I feel like I'm always with them. Like I am always with the kids. And that's one of the things that I just love about being home with them, and the fact that they are schooled by me. I don't ever feel like, man, I didn't get enough time with them today. On the contrary, sometimes I'm like, I spent a little bit too much time with them. Like I didn't get any time to even go to the bathroom by myself without screaming children. So I personally don't feel too much of that guilt. And I'm sure it would be harder if, again, like my time with them was a little bit more limited, but I feel very blessed that I spent a lot of time with them. And I just try to check myself. Like if I notice, like I said, if I notice like, oh, I've spent a lot of time with Riley, then I try to spend a little bit more time with Jackson. But I think it's kind of silly to spend like your whole life, like, I don't know, like trying to make it 100% equal. And like, if I spend 1 hour with this kid, then I gotta spend 1 hour with this kid. Like, I think it should just be like a natural give and take. I know a lot of people do like those like one-on-one dates, like with their kids, and like have an ice cream outing with one kid, and then, you know, the other kid stays back with the other parent, and then like you get some one-on-one time with each kid. I think that, I'm sure, can help if you need something more structured. But I haven't, up until this point, felt like guilty about that. So this was like a long comment, but then at the end she asked some questions like about like church and stuff. So she said, would you consider going to a church retreat at some point? Wondering if your church has marriage groups, or if you would ever be a guest on their meeting, I think is what she's trying to say. Would Riley be going to First Communion classes? Lots of questions about that. Right now, the church that we go to, I think they have like some marriage ministries and like, you know, like couples that meet together every once in a while. We just can't do them right now because we don't have anyone to leave the kids with. Like in Virginia, we don't have the help. I can't say, oh mom, come watch the kids for the night. Like that we would only have if we were here in Miami. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to, God willing, when that time happens, like to make it down to Miami, so that we can, like Joe and I, participate more in like the church and kind of, you know, just spend more time maybe leading a ministry or joining a ministry. And that's something that we would like to do. But I also understand that we're just not in the season for it, and that's okay. Like life has different seasons and we will get there. Eventually there will be a time when we are just super bored and have nothing to do and the kids are gone. And then we can, you know, spend every night at church if we wanted to. In terms of Riley and her going to First Communion and stuff, doing her First Communion, she will be doing that because we are Catholic and we do like all of the sacraments. Joe is currently in RCIA, which is like the religious education. People that haven't been Catholic, so like the Catholic converts, I guess, like people that are converting to Catholicism. He's doing the classes, and then this Easter, God willing, he will be doing his First Communion and like getting his sacrament. So I'm really excited for him. And so it'll be nice because then by the time that Riley does her First Communion, which I think is in the 2nd grade, like Joe will have already gone through that, and it'll be like a really special time. And then in terms of a retreat, yes, I would love to go to a church retreat. Like, there is something so awesome about that. Like, I used to go to them when I was in high school, because I went to Catholic high school. I was like in the youth ministry team in high school, and we would do retreats. And back then, like, I mean, I took them for granted, because I took my whole faith for granted. Like, it wasn't like the most important thing, like as it is to me now. But there is something awesome about the idea of like spending a weekend away. And like some of the retreats are even like silent retreats. Like, can you imagine like just a whole weekend of pure silence? Like that is worth it to go and just to spend time in silence and pray and catch up on your faith and talk to God, and to have no like screaming little children in your ear. That sounds very glorious at the moment. So perhaps one day I will get to do that. So this person just said, any tips on starting homeschool? I'm going to homeschool both of my boys. My biggest tip, like, I don't have a million tips. I'm not an expert by any means on homeschooling, but I would honestly just say to start. Like, don't go crazy buying all of the different posters and making a specific corner in your room. Like, just start. Just like literally find whatever curriculum you're gonna use, or make some kind of game plan on like what you want to teach your kids. If it's preschool, like literally like what do they have to learn in preschool? They have to learn their shapes, their colors, like find the basics. Maybe you don't want to even buy a curriculum. I have done a couple reviews on curriculums that if you search on my channel you can find, but you can also just like print out worksheets. There's a lot of free resources, and then just commit to it. Like, pick a day that you're gonna start. Make sure you have like some of the basic supplies. Like, you're gonna wanna have like the colored pencils and the markers and the crayons. Like, nothing super fancy. Like, this is all stuff that is very affordable. Get some construction paper, maybe like pipe cleaners, like basic arts and crafts supplies. Sorry, Joe is of course in the moment like texting me, like asking me questions in the middle of me filming, and that's always how it happens. Like, he hasn't talked to me all day, he's been at work, and now he wants to ask me questions, so then I'm like distracted. But just don't overcomplicate homeschool. I don't think that homeschool has to look like a school. It doesn't have to look like a school setting, hence why like you're doing it differently. So if having like the traditional like school setup doesn't work for you, then that's totally okay. Like, think about your kids, think about how they like to learn. Do they like learning through like watching videos? Maybe there's some videos that you can show them on whatever topics you're gonna teach them. Or do they like to learn more like hands-on? Like, are you gonna teach them about nature? Think about like where you can take them, wherever it is that you live, like a couple places that you can take them to teach them some of these concepts. I guess that's just like my biggest pet peeve when it comes to people and like homeschooling, and like when people reach out to me, it's like, it doesn't have to be complicated. And I watch a lot of homeschool videos, and I'm gonna tell you, like, us as friends, I think a lot of people overcomplicate homeschool. A lot of people think that homeschool has to be like this perfect aesthetic and everything has to match, and you have to spend $1 million on Etsy to have like every single poster known to man, and like they're all themed, and that's just my take on it. Like, that's just not me, and you guys know that, and that's fine. If it works for you, if it makes you more excited about homeschooling, then fine. But if that's not you and you don't like that, then it doesn't, you don't have to make it that way, is all I'm trying to say. It's amazing to me how like there are so many different resources for teaching kids concepts. Like, there's a lot of toys that you can purchase, right? And there's a lot of really great, like beautifully styled Montessori toys that are all wooden and beautiful and aesthetic that cost $1 million, okay? And yet there are other toys that do the same exact thing for like pennies. Like, there's other toys much cheaper that you can teach the same concept. Like, literally, to teach your kids like how to color sort, you could buy some toys, you could buy really expensive toys, or you can literally like show them different crayons and show them different colors, or pieces of construction paper, show them different colors. And so at this point, I'm not answering the question anymore. I'm just venting to you guys about how I feel about this in general. But biggest takeaway is just don't overcomplicate it. So this person is asking if I still have postpartum anxiety, and if so, any tips on how to manage it. And I've gotten questions lately about my anxiety. Am I still on Lexapro? So maybe I'll just kind of talk about that for a little bit. I am no longer on Lexapro. Pretty sure that I shared that I stopped taking that. I can't tell you how long it's been now because I honestly do not remember. I was on Lexapro for a little bit and I was on like 10 milligrams of Lexapro. And so it was like a very low dose. I took it for a little while. And my goal with Lexapro was never to stay on it like indefinitely. I don't like the idea of like being dependent for the rest of my life on a medication if I don't have to be. And so I took it for a little while. It did help, I will say, like it did help. Mostly what I felt on Lexapro was just a little bit like chiller, like not as snappy and angry. And so I feel like it helped in that respect. Then I also, while I was doing Lexapro, like while I was on Lexapro, I also, through BetterHelp, I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It wasn't sponsored, I paid for it myself, but it was like a virtual online therapy that I did. And I met with a Christian counselor, because you could select if you wanted like a Christian counselor or not. So there was like some faith-based counseling that I did for also a little while. I'm not sure how long I did it. I felt like that was helpful just to have somebody to talk to for a little while. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, like there's not really a whole lot to talk about in these sessions and I'm like wasting a bunch of money. So I stopped. So I stopped the counseling and then eventually I weaned off of the Lexapro, and it was a little bit difficult to wean off of the Lexapro. Like I felt super like jittery and shaky and like dizzy for a couple days, but I pushed through that. And I guess I do not have enough wrapping paper for this. I really could just wrap it like that and call it a day, but since I have plenty of wrapping paper, I guess I'll actually wrap this correctly. But anyway, push through the weaning off of it. And so at this point, I've been off of it for quite some time. Do I still have anxiety? Some days, I guess. Like there are still certain like fears that I have, not as bad as I first did, like when I sought help. Like I had a lot of intrusive thoughts like all day, every day. Like wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, did I lock my doors, or did my child like go out the front door? Has she gotten run over by a car? Did like, I don't know, did Jackson find a way to open the window and like jump out the window like when he's like 1 year old? Like crazy thoughts like that I would have all the time. I feel like I've gotten much better in terms of not having those kind of thoughts. I had a big fear of driving, which I think I have pretty much mastered at this point. Like there are some times where I'm still a little bit nervous to drive if it's somewhere that I've never been before. I still don't love to drive in the dark, so I don't do a lot of like at night driving. However, I can do it. Like before, I used to be almost like to the point where I was paralyzed, where I could not do it. Like physically, I could not do it. But like I'm legit driving Joe's F-150 now at night back to our hotel. And that's something that I don't think I would have been able to do back then when I was first really struggling with it. But there are still days that what I notice the most like anxiety that I have is more so like that agitation that like I'm quick to be like really snappy. And so that I'm still having to just like work through. But I will say like that the focus on my faith has really helped. And I know that like some people hear that and they think it's so corny, because like I was one of those people. Like when I first sought like counseling and when I first got on Lexapro, I had people tell me like, why do you need that? Like just pray and just like focus on your faith. And I legit like would roll my eyes at these people and be like, okay, great, like I can pray, but I still need like actual like physical help. And so I do see the benefit in like the actual like medication and like the counseling help. Like I don't discredit either of those routes, but I do think that when you focus on your faith and you focus on like trusting the Lord, it gets easier. Like it helps you throughout your day, and it helps you when you're having anxious thoughts. Like there's a lot of scripture about anxiety, literally telling you like, do not be anxious. And like when you focus on the things that Jesus said, like it really helps you to just not worry about so many things. And there's just like a peace that comes with that. So I don't know, maybe you're into it, maybe you're not, but I can tell you that for me, it has worked wonders in my life. And it might be something worth looking into at least. So this person asked me, so random, but do you ever get recognized or approached in public? I don't think I've ever been approached in like Virginia where we live now. Don't think that anyone's ever come up to me and like recognized me. When I lived here, there were a few times where like I'd have someone recognize me, or a couple times ago that I was down here just visiting, my sister and I think my mom, we went to Target, and somebody also like came up to me, and like I was shopping, and I'm pretty sure I was with the kids, and then somebody said like, oh look, to like their kid, was like, oh look, it's Riley. I have gotten recognized a few times, and I think it's super like, I'm always super awkward. So I'm like, what do you mean? Who even, like, I don't equate the fact that I have a YouTube with like people knowing me like in person. It's a very weird thing, but I'm always like happy to see somebody that knows me, that cares to say hi, or that cares to, I don't know, just say hi, I guess. So if anybody ever sees me in public, like, you are more than welcome to come and say hi. I just have one rule, and that one rule is that you do not approach me in a parking lot. I will legit think that you're trying to abduct me, and that's not gonna be a good situation for anybody. So you can approach me, just not in the parking lot. Just like wait till I get into Target, because like that's usually the only place that I go to. But I also wonder like how many people like maybe like see me and I'm like yelling at my children, and they're like, okay, that's Kayla from YouTube, and let's not go say hi, but you see my kids like having a full-blown meltdown. That's a very real possibility, that like I'm out and about and my kids are off the chain and I'm in full meltdown mode. So if you've seen that, you've been witness to that, I'm very sorry. Okay, so this person asked, do you think Botox is worth the money and like the consistency of having it done, or is it worth the money with the consistency of having it done? I love it. I actually like Dysport or Dysport, like the thing that I got the last time, better than Botox. What I get consistently done is my forehead and like my 11 lines in my forehead, because like I have really deep wrinkles. I think, again, you do not have to do it. Nobody is like forcing you to do it. It shouldn't be this thing that like, oh my God, I need to do it, or I can't go out, I can't do this, or I can't go to this outing because people are gonna see my wrinkles. Like, I hope that it never comes across that way, like in terms of like the fact that I get that done. Like, it's a nice to have. It's like a, hey, I want a smooth forehead. That up until this point is the only thing that gives you a legit smooth forehead. Like, I've tried creams, I've tried like all kinds of things. Does it work? Yes. Now, are there pros and cons to it? Yes, because then, I mean, it's like a toxin that you're putting in your body. Like, you make a choice when you go to McDonald's and you like decide to have really crappy food. Like the pro and con situation, like there's a pro-con situation with pretty much anything that you do or that you put in your body. So you have to assess that too. Does it work? In my opinion, I think it works really well. And it gives me the results that I desire when I go to get it done. Mine doesn't last very long. It lasts like 3 months, and then my lines are right back where they started. So can it be costly? Yes. Like, I think when I went this past time that I did my forehead and like my 11 lines, I think it was like $300 something. And imagine if I have to do that every 3 months, then you end up spending like what? Over $1,200 every year to maintain a freaking forehead. Like, you have to also make sure that you're assessing your priorities. Like, again, you've got to pay your bills, your basic needs, your food on the table, your kids. If there's extra money, then okay, maybe it's something that you want to spend money on. But I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that I don't like how it looks when I have less wrinkles on my forehead. I'm just gonna keep it real. Anyway, so the next question is, somebody asked what my goals are for 2023. I plan on doing like a whole goals video. So stay tuned for that, because I have a lot of goals. I'm excited to share like a lot of them with you guys, and just for like what 2023 has in store, just like in general. So I think that there's gonna be a lot of good things, God willing, like that we can focus on. So stay tuned for that. Somebody said, can you tell me about your hair care? And today is like literally not the day, because today my hair looks absolutely atrocious, and I haven't done anything to my hair lately. I had been working with Function of Beauty for a while, and I used their hair products when they would send them to me when I worked with them, and they were really good. I never had an issue with them, always looked forward to them. Since I haven't worked with them recently, I haven't like gone out on my own to buy their stuff, because it really is like a treat, because like I think their stuff is a little bit pricier than like some of the cheaper stuff that you can get, and I haven't spent that money like on my hair lately. Like, I've sent Joe out to go get shampoo and conditioner. Whatever he brings back is what I use. I don't use anything other than dry shampoo in my hair. It's been quite a while since I get a balayage done, So I'm kind of overdue for that. I would like to color my hair or do something. Like I'm getting a little bored of my hair. The other day I asked you guys if I should cut it, if I shouldn't, and then like it was kind of like 50-50. So I haven't really paid much attention or given much love to my hair because it's expensive, and it also takes me freaking forever every time I go get my hair done. And like I don't have like 3+ hours just to sit in a chair. When I got 2 kids, I'm homeschooling them, I've got like just a lot going on in my life. I wish I had more information for you there, but at the moment I do not. Somebody asked me if we've started to look for property in Florida so that someday we have something. I mean, I'm not gonna buy property in Florida until Joe has a legit job offer on the table. But I do look on Zillow like every day. Like every day I'm on Zillow looking at the properties around here, and it's super depressing, like legit depressing, because everything is a fortune. Everything. Like whatever house, I've said this before, but whatever house we end up buying will be at least 2 to 3 times like more expensive than, you know, what we pay in Virginia. Like my mortgage will be an additional like $3,000, $2,000, $3,000. Like it will jump a whole lot. And so it's very sad because the cost of the houses here for some reason, it's like stupid. You know what I mean? Because like if you're telling me that I'm gonna spend $600,000 on a house, like you would think a $600,000 house in this area, you're gonna have a really beautiful house, looks modern, looks nice, like big backyard. And like, that's not the case. Like a $600,000 house, like in the area that we're looking, is like maybe 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, tiny yard, everything is a fixer-upper. So it's very sad. But again, just trusting that God is gonna put us where he wants us, and that when the time comes, we'll be able to find a property that will, you know, it's not gonna be perfect, but that hopefully it'll meet our needs, and we'll be close to family, which is literally the only reason why we want to move down here. We'll have the extra help. Hopefully we'll have the ability to, again, like be more involved in the church and have date nights and have the kids sleep over at Mimi's house so that we get a break. Like there are definitely some pros to the idea of like being down here, but the cost of the houses is not one of the pros at all. It is by far one of the mucho negatives. It's not an ideal situation, but we're looking, and I don't think it's hopeless. Like I think that there are some things that are gonna be doable. It's just we're gonna have to make sacrifices. Like we're not gonna have a huge house. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the kids have to share a room. Like I don't know. So we continue to pray about it, and I'm not stressing about it too much other than the fact that I look every day and I'm very sad. This person asked if we buy a lot of toys throughout the year. Like if you're a regular on my channel, you would know that the answer to that is yes. Like I love to buy toys, and when I see good deals, good sales, I will buy toys. Sometimes I give them right away to the kids. Sometimes I just like stash them and save them for a rainy day. Like I legit to this day, I think last year for Christmas, or maybe the year before, like I bought a sand pit, like a sandbox thing, and I found it at a good deal. I think I was gonna give it to Jackson maybe last Christmas. I never ended up giving it to him, or maybe for Easter. I don't know. I literally still have it down in my basement. So whenever the mood arises, like I have something that I can open up and give the kids, and it's something fun and exciting, breaks up the monotony a little bit. So I'm a big believer in shopping the sales, picking stuff up at really good prices, and then saving it for a rainy day, because I don't like to pay full price for anything. And you guys have seen, I've done like my toy organization videos and stuff, and you guys have seen how our basement has like the toy storage, and we do toy rotation. So it kind of keeps things fresh when I have new toys that I could bring out and like, hey, we're gonna play with this today, and we're gonna work on this skill today, and now we have this toy that we can pair it with. So I love that. I should have been like, somebody else asked me like, what would your career be like if you weren't on YouTube? I used to answer that question like in so many different ways, because there's a lot of things that I would maybe consider doing. But I feel like perhaps I would be a really great like buyer for like a boutique, for a toy store. Like I feel like that would bring me so much joy, like looking through toys, finding great brands and toys that people would like I would be a buyer. And I think that would be really fun, because that's literally what I do all day long, is like look through the deals, look through toys for kids, And it's something that I like to do. I would at this point like to let you guys know that I finished wrapping Riley's gifts. So there's at least that has been accomplished. I'm gonna see how many more questions I can do, and then I'm gonna finish Jackson's gifts. But so far this has been very productive. So thank you very much for entertaining me while I wrap presents. This is the most random thing that I think anybody has ever asked me, but somebody asked, what are your favorite shoes at the moment? You guys, when I packed for this trip, I packed so badly. I've been wearing like the same clothes like almost every day. Like the same like 3 things, like either like these jogger pants that I have or some leggings and like a couple t-shirts. Like I brought no clothes, but I have worn, I think every day, or maybe like with the exception of like one day, I have worn my Nikes that are just like, at this point, they might be the only sneakers that I own, but I have worn them so much, and I'm so glad because I've gotten a lot of use out of them. But I don't even know what they're called, but they're like these white Nike sneakers that literally go with everything. I wear them with joggers, I wear them with jeans, I wear them with pretty much anything. If I can find them, I mean, I got them ages ago. If I can find them or link them, I'll let you know. But I feel like a good pair of sneakers is like really not only comfy and convenient and like easy to wear, but it's also like very trendy. Wasn't there like a time when like sneakers were not very trendy and then all of a sudden they became trendy? I don't know, but actually shoes are like some of the things that I actually need. Like I don't have that many shoes in my closet as opposed to like the clothes, like the sweaters. Like sweaters, I have a lot of sweaters, but I don't have that many shoes. So if you guys want to share like what your favorite shoes are at the moment, feel free to do so, and we can help each other out in the styling department. So the next question is, how do you try to live out a biblical marriage? Or how do you serve your spouse? How do you serve each other? That's like a loaded question. And I don't know that I have the perfect answer to that. I mean, I know I don't have a perfect answer to that. But I will say that it definitely helps when like you like your spouse. It definitely helps when like you're on the same page about life and you're happy with like the direction that your marriage is going in. Somebody told me the other day, mentioned a video that I did a long time ago. I think like after Riley was born. And it was called something like postpartum resentment, which is like a very real thing that I felt when Riley was born. When I first became a mom, it was like I resented Joe so bad because like he just had the ability to go cut his hair or like just go to work and be in quiet on like his car ride to work, on his commute. And like I had this major resentment of like, I don't get to do these things, you get to do these things. And I mean, I think those feelings are valid because you become a mom, like there's a lot that happens, your life as you know it is so forever changed. So I think some of the feelings are still valid, but at the same time, like all of those things like weren't his fault. Like it wasn't his fault that he could go get his hair done. It wasn't his fault that like I was the one breastfeeding and that he had like useless nipples because he wasn't able to breastfeed. Like that wasn't his fault. Like that was my role as the mother and he had a different role as a father. And did he still have to like help and, you know, still share some responsibilities? Yes. But what I'm trying to say is like where I was in terms of like my relationship with Joe, like back, I don't know, 5 years ago, is very different from where it is today, because today I have just so much more like respect for him and like love for him. And I'm just so pleased with just him as a person. Like I like him so much. And like that's really corny and stupid to say maybe. Like maybe nobody likes to hear you say like, oh, you really like your spouse, because like I really do. And I'm so happy that I have like those loving feelings for him 7 years after we've been married. Like that the love like hasn't gone like down, like it's gone up. And I thank the Lord for that every day. So where I'm at like today, right? Like I really like him. I think that he's great. Does he annoy the crap out of me sometimes? Yes. Like does he do things that I'm like, what on earth are you doing? Like yes, those things exist. I yell at him, we get snappy with each other, all of those things are yes. But I have like a deep-rooted love for him. And so do I want to serve him? Like of course, I want to make him happy. I want him to be happy. I want to give him time to do whatever it is that he needs to do. Do I want to try to make him meals so when he gets home from work, he's ready to eat and like there's not a whole lot that he has to do? Of course, like I want to do that. And it's not because like I don't know, like I think he's a king or I think that I'm not worth anything. Like of course, I love myself too, but I also love him and like I want to make him happy. And what makes it easy to do that is that I also know that he wants to make me happy. And so it's like a mutual kind of thing. I don't know if any of that makes any sense. And so I feel like it's really nice when you've got God at the top of the little triangle pyramid, and then you've got you and your spouse, and like you make time for each other, and like you want to serve your spouse wants to serve you. You both want to do everything to honor the Lord. Like it works that way. Like definitely works that way. There's less of a tendency to be selfish, and there's less of a tendency for everything to be like tit for tat and like keeping score. And like I've been in that place before. Like I have, like again, our marriage has never been terrible, but there have been points in our marriage where I have definitely myself felt a lot more selfish and a lot more self-centered. And when you realize that like it's not really about you, in my opinion, your marriage becomes just better. Like, and again, not that you're supposed to be like a pushover, is that the word? Like, not that you're supposed to just get walked all over, not that you're just supposed to be treated like garbage, because again, that's not how it's supposed to work. A biblical marriage isn't something where you're just constantly just getting stepped on and your husband tells you what to do and you just say, yes sir, okay, what time are you gonna be home so I can make you dinner? But it's really like a selfless love. And I think that a lot of what we're taught in today's society, like a lot of the messaging, something that I've been really like struggling with, maybe not struggling with, but like contemplating, is the fact that we've really like, society and the culture is like, everything is about you and your happiness and on being happy, and do whatever you need to do to be happy. And I don't really think that that's the message. I really don't think that that's it. I don't really think that that's biblical. Like, do we want to be happy? Of course we want to be happy. We want to enjoy life and, you know, have what we need and be happy. But that's not really like all that it's. Okay, sorry, my battery died, of course, or is in the process of dying, so I'm gonna charge it and see if it charges. But what I was trying to say is like, it's not really all about us, and we're just very self-centered these days. Like, and all the messaging, all of society tells us to be self-centered. Everything is about our own happiness. And I think that if you want to live out a biblical marriage, or just like a somewhat biblical life in general, you really have to be a little bit less selfish, and you have to be a little bit more thinking about others and thinking about your spouse and thinking about your kids. And that doesn't mean you neglect yourself. It doesn't mean that you like run yourself to the ground, but it means that you realize that like sacrifice is involved sometimes, and sometimes you do have to put other people before you, and like that's okay. Like the famous Bible quote that like is read in almost every wedding, like even people that aren't religious have it read sometimes, and it's like, the love is patient, love is kind, like love is I'm gonna butcher it because I don't know it exactly off the top of my head, but it talks about love not being selfish and not being self-seeking. And so I think that we'd be wise to kind of put that into practice in our own marriages if we want them to be a little bit more successful. So that's my 2 cents on that. Again, I don't know if I answered the question, but a little bit of rambling about that. This question is pretty morbid, but I mean, it's real life. So do you and Joe have a last will and testament in place? If so, when did you complete it? Before or after the children were born? So Joe and I are actually, did it just get like super dark in here? I'm sorry if the lighting is awful, but Joe and I are actually in the process right now of getting one done. And it has been the most annoying thing of life. Like, I mean, part of it is our fault because like you've got to like deal with an attorney, and then you've got to like answer questions and like, you know, respond to an attorney, and they're asking you all these things and you have to think about all these things that you don't really want to think about. It's honestly a pain, and it costs money, but we're in the process of doing one right now. I think it's important to have one in place, just because like when Joe's mom passed away, we realized like how much of a pain it is. Like obviously there's the emotional pain of losing someone you love, but when you don't have a will and testament in place, there's a lot of stuff like logistical stuff and money, assets stuff that becomes a nightmare when you don't have some of these things put in place. So we decided that we don't want our kids to have to go through that. If we can help it, if we can make things a little bit easier, God forbid something happens to us, like there's a plan in place, and it just makes it easier for everyone. So I think it's a good thing to think about and to like get done at some point. So we're working on it. So what do you do when you feel yourself getting burnt out? How do you reset? I think it's like different every time. I get burnt out often. I think let's just say that I get burnt out often. Sometimes I just realize like I need a break. Like I need a break, and so if I feel myself getting really burnt out, like from work, I just like obviously I have the luxury that I can unplug for a bit, right? Like if I decide I'm really burnt out at work, I can just say, okay, well, instead of having 3 videos that week, we're gonna have 2, such as like what you've been seeing lately, right? Like there haven't been the normal 3 videos on my channel. I still try to stay like here present and still have some videos, but kind of scale back a little bit, just to give myself like that time to just enjoy life. Or if I want to just literally do nothing all day, I can do that, or at least try to do less than what I normally do. When I'm feeling really burnt out, one of my favorite things to do is just to watch like a random show, watch a series, and just like binge watch a series. Like I'm very much looking forward to watching Emily in Paris because it just came out, and that is like one of my guilty pleasure like shows to watch. And like there's so much in that show that is wrong, right? Like not biblical, not Christian, but it's just like one of those like just trash kind of shows that I just like to watch. So I'm gonna binge watch that here in a couple of days. Wow, this was terrible. This present was not my best, but I've actually been doing pretty well, you guys. Like you should be impressed because my wrapping skills haven't been that bad today so far. I will tell you the worst one has been this one. This one I think was the worst one. Like look at that wrapping, is it even showing up? Not the best, but also I wasn't going to like go crazy. How do you get the kids to behave or sit still for an hour in church? I'd love to start taking our 2-year-old, but I'm not sure that we would be able to keep her quietly entertained while also being able to pay attention. The thought of people side-eyeing me and getting looks throughout mass stresses me out. So I have been there. Like my kids right now behave very well. Okay, I'll say that. My kids at this point, we used to like, first of all, we're Catholic. So the masses that we go to, I know like a lot of Christian churches and like non-denominational churches, which we've also gone to, like my brother-in-law, when we go visit my brother-in-law, they go to a Christian church and they have a great setup because like the kids go upstairs and the kids do like kids church. And so like the parents are able just like to focus on the sermon. A lot of churches do that. In Catholic churches, for the most part that I know of, or the churches that we've been to, they don't do that. So kids are sitting in the pews with the parents. And so does it make it harder to pay attention? It absolutely does, especially when your kid is not behaving well. So what we used to do is like a lot of churches have like a baby cry room. It's like a soundproof room or like a less noisy room, like apart from the church. You can still hear stuff, but it's like a room with glass so that it's separate from the church in a way, so that when your kid is having a meltdown, not the entire church is hearing it, just the people in that baby cry room. So we had been sitting in that room for a long time, and we actually just like as of recently, like as of like 2 weeks ago, we decided that we don't need to be in that room anymore because our kids will actually be quiet throughout mass, and then what ends up happening is we can't focus because of like the other like kids that are in there screaming. So I think we've graduated to regular mass, which is nice, but we've been there, like we did our fair share, like taking the kids to mass. Jackson would have a tantrum, or Jackson wouldn't listen, or he'd be making a ton of noise. And it's hard, but my biggest suggestion or my biggest recommendation is that you don't let that keep you from taking your kid to mass. I think the more that they go and the more that you show them like how you're supposed to behave, that you're supposed to be quiet, like they get it. Like they get it eventually. It might take a bit, but they start to understand that you're supposed to be quiet. And so they can't really do that if you don't take them. So don't let that be the only deterrent. If you're sitting in mass and your kid is being super noisy, super disruptive, then yeah, there's been times where like Joe has to get up and like go to the back of church, or like leave the building even and be outside. And I get that that sucks and it's frustrating because you're like, hey, hello, like I came here to pay attention and to participate in mass, and now I'm here with my kid. But just like give yourself some grace. If it happens, like that's the worst thing that happens, and then you can go watch an online mass when you get home, but you're still there, you still made the effort to go, and you're teaching your kids that it's important to go. So I'm all about having them like be there. I think at one church we heard the saying like, if your church isn't crying, then it's dying, which is like a good food for thought. Like if you don't have a bunch of kids that are crying at your church, then what does that really say about the future of your church, right? Like we need like young families, and young families often have kids that are losing their minds and having meltdowns. That being said, like I've gone to churches before that haven't been super family friendly and like, I don't know, there's a lot of like old people, and when your kids are having meltdowns, like they are side-eyeing you. Maybe that's not the best church for you to go to, or maybe that's not the right time for you to go to. Maybe there's like a more kids friendly mass like in the morning time where like more kids and more families go to. So maybe, you know, shop around and kind of figure out what mass is going to work the best for you. But I will say that the number one thing that keeps my kids quiet during mass is snacks. Some people are not about that. Some people are like, you're not supposed to be eating in church. Well, it keeps my kids quiet. So I will take them plenty of snacks. They do not bother me. I'm able to listen and pay attention and participate in mass. They're eating their goldfish. I don't think that's the end of the world. I don't think that Jesus is gonna hate the fact that they're eating goldfish. So we take snacks, and both of the kids also take a little backpack, and in their backpack they can bring like a toy, obviously something quiet. Jackson brings his cars and he'll play there like on his seat with the cars. If he's being noisy with the cars, then we take them away and we tell him, no, you can't like throw them. But anything that's quiet, if Riley wants to take a book, she's actually pretty good where she doesn't really do anything during church. Like she'll actually just like listen. But yeah, snacks is big. Any kind of entertainment. There's like a lot of like kid mass resources. Like you can get them like little mass coloring books. Like bring a little backpack with some activities, some lift a flat books, like whatever you think is gonna keep them entertained. And then you literally just pray that they behave well. And some masses they will, and then some masses they won't. And that's okay. And you just keep trying, and eventually they will do better. So somebody said, challenges of parenting with every year group. Like, does it get better as they grow up? Is Riley easier to handle than Jackson? I have a 21-month-old and I'm tired every day. I'm tired every day too. I'm very tired. I don't think it gets easier, like in all senses. It's not like, oh, now I have a 5-year-old and wow, everything is super easy. Like there's different challenges that you face, if that makes sense. Like with Riley, there's less of the, I have to be behind her every 2 seconds because like she can walk now. I know that she's not going to like get into, for the most part, things that she's not supposed to. I don't have to worry about choking hazards. Like with Jackson too, at this point, I don't really have to worry about choking hazards. So there's like a level of like just like being able to just relax for a minute, like different minutes throughout the day, like for 5-minute periods, which is nice, like the not feeling like I'm constantly on all the time. But then there's like other things, like I have to deal with plenty more tantrums these days, and like the feelings and the emotions and the why can't I do this, and I want to do this now and you're not letting me. And like I didn't have to really deal with that too much when I had a teeny tiny baby. But now I have to deal with that because I have like kids that are asking questions and reasoning, and they just kind of want to do what they want. So there's different challenges, but there's also like so much fun and good stuff about every age. So I know it's tiring, like girl, it's tiring. And like I've been tired for the last 5 years of my life, but like maybe we can focus on like what's really good about every age and then kind of focus on that. Somebody asked, if I meal plan, what are some of your go-to dinner ideas? I'm stuck. I barely meal plan, okay? Like I have tried, I wouldn't say like I'm an experienced meal planner. I've done it for a couple weeks at a time, but that is gonna be one of my goals for next year. My goal is gonna be to really get organized in the kitchen and to get my life together and to have meals that I can reach for. I've been trying to do that slowly this year, like getting my binder of recipes together and finding different meal plans that I typically like the recipes. But like go to, just like off the top of my head, we do at least like once a week, we do a taco night. Super easy, ground beef, taco seasoning, tortillas, literally like just tomatoes and cheese, and we just call it a night. That's very satisfying for us. Like we serve it with like some Mexican rice or with some tortilla chips, and that is very often a dinner. We do pizza at least once a week. We usually do like Pizza Friday, where either we order out or we make our own pizza. I do pizza on naan bread, which I really like the naan breads that you can buy. You put marinara sauce, some mozzarella cheese, bake it in the oven. One of the most delicious pizzas that you can make, and just very easy. I can also do like a sourdough pizza crust that I really like, so we can make it ourselves. But at least once a week we're having pizza. And then Joe and I, a lot of times we just do like baked chicken, or Joe will grill like either chicken or grill a skirt steak. And then we have broccoli on the side, so we'll like bake some broccoli, bake some sweet potatoes, like some veggies. And that's literally like our meal. Like at least once a week we're having like those 3 things. when I don't bother like to look up a new recipe. But I kind of am bored, so I'm looking to like kind of spice it up a little bit and have some meals that taste good and that aren't super hard to make. So I promise that as I try to figure it out, I will also try to keep you guys posted so that we can, I don't know, just have some other meal ideas. Julia Pacheco is awesome. I think that's her name. I follow her on YouTube here. She has great videos, quick videos, showing you different recipes. I've tried some of hers, but I should honestly try more. She's just great. So she's somebody that you might want to look at in terms of just quick and easy food ideas. So this person asked, how do you fit in a well-rounded day for both kids? Meaning like naps, meals, physical activity, play, educational activity, faith, reading, quality time with each, and find time to keep up your house, go out to run errands, shop, and work on social media while maintaining a marriage and self-care. So a lot of things like that you try to maintain for your kids, and then also things that you're trying to maintain for yourself. So I guess I'll address like the kids first. There are plenty of days where I feel like their day was not 100% well-rounded. Like, I'll just be honest. Like, there are days when I'm like, okay, we killed it at homeschool today. Like, we did a lot of lessons. Riley's learning, great. But at the same time, there were no naps. We didn't go outside. Like, there's never a day where I can go to sleep and I'm like, wow, we killed it in all areas. Because like, that's not real life. Like, it's not real life that your kids are gonna have a perfect day where they ate super well and they had physical activity and they napped and you spent one-on-one time with them. Like, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself. Like, no wonder we're all like exhausted and like just not having it. Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to like meet every single one of their needs, plus every single one of your needs. Like, I don't think that you need to have a well-rounded, maybe necessarily like day. Like, you want to have maybe a well-rounded week, month, year. Like, I think a little bit more big picture. Maybe I don't do that correctly. Maybe that's not the route to go, but I feel like in one day, in 24 hours, when you are a person and you have multiple tiny humans, you're not going to be able to have a perfectly well-rounded day. And if that's what you're striving for, like, you're going to fail, and then you're going to be mad because you failed, because it's a lot to put on one person. So you try to do your best. You try to, obviously, like, you know, with the time that you have, with the resources that you have, with the energy that you have, you try to do your best. And yes, if there's been like 2 days that have gone by and the kids haven't gone outside, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go outside today. But it doesn't have to be every day. Just like for me, like, do I have time for self-care or whatever every single day? No. But if I've noticed that like a whole week has gone by, I haven't had a moment to myself, maybe then I try to like schedule some time for myself. I think obviously the most important thing is that your kids are taken care of, that they're obviously safe, that they're loved, that they're fed, that, you know, they're not like just neglected and just like left in a room by themselves. Like, obviously that's not okay. But I don't think we have to do necessarily as much as we think we have to do in order to have a successful day, because your kids at the end of the day, like, you'll ask them like, did you have a good day? And they'll say either yes, and you're like, how? Because we did nothing. Or you can have like the best day where you did all of the things, and then you ask them, did you have a good day? And they're like, no, I had a hard day. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? So they just want time with you. They want you to be present. So that's just kind of my response in that. Like, I try to just not freak out over everything and not stress myself out so much, because I know that I'm doing the best that I can for my kids, and I know that they are, again, healthy and safe and loved, and that they're gonna be just fine. But I guess if you want like a little bit more of a practical answer, like, it is about like priorities. Like, what is the most important thing? Like, out of all the things that this person mentioned, like, what are like the top 3 things that we have to do today? Or like, what are the top 3 things that we need to accomplish today? We need to do homeschool. We need to make sure we eat. If there's any like absolute last minute errand that has to be done that day, you prioritize it and you put it in your planner, or you put it in your notes on your phone, or you put it wherever it is that you put all the things that you tell yourself that you want to do. Prioritize it and make it like, these are like the non-negotiables. This has to happen. And I think planning your day can definitely help with that. I do like to use my iPad. I have an app on it called Good Notes, and that's where when I have my life a little bit together, I haven't done it in a while, but when I have my life a little bit together, I'll go in there at the beginning of every day or the night before and be like, these are the things that have to happen. And then I'm able to kind of structure my day to make sure that I meet those things. And then if I have extra time, then great, then I can knock off other things off the list. But if I can't, then like that's okay too. The world is not gonna end. So sometimes it helps just to have like a visual of like what needs to be done. Otherwise, if you get distracted and time gets wasted and you end up just like scrolling on your phone. So some kind of structure or like list of things to do, I think can help a little bit. So this question was actually interesting. I've never kind of heard of this before, but this person said, both my hubby and I are converts to Catholicism and went through RCIA a few years ago. I often feel jealous of my husband's growth and relationship with God because I often feel pulled in too many directions with a 5-month-old and an 18-month-old. Do you guys ever struggle with religious jealousy of the other person? So, I mean, I hear you. Like, it's hard. Like, we have kids. Like, we've got little kids. They need a lot of our attention. So, naturally, I think I'm bleeding. Is my lip bleeding? My lip is freaking bleeding, okay? It's like my dry lips, and then I freaking picked at it, and now my lip is bleeding. So, if you see that, I'm very sorry. But it's hard. We have kids, so obviously there's things that we have to take care of. So obviously that makes it a little bit harder to maybe spend time in prayer and to kind of, you know, have that one-on-one focus time on our faith when there's like a lot of other things that we have to do. Like Joe right now is going through RCIA. So he goes to that once a week at night, and it's like this one-on-one time that he has to focus on his faith. He does adoration too for another hour, which is really nice for him because it's time that he gets to spend with Jesus in prayer. He also goes to a men's group on the weekends, which is awesome for him. And like, I don't get to do any of that. And I've accepted that right now in this phase of life, that's not gonna happen. Maybe like, it's not gonna happen in the way that it happens for him, right? Like that maybe I don't have as much time to like go out and be part of a ministry or go to a women's group just because the timing doesn't work out. Perhaps one day it will. So it's not like a forever thing. It's not like you cannot ever do these things, but like right now, he has a lot more of the ability to go out in person and like do these things. So instead of like focusing on like, oh wow, he gets to go to a men's group and I don't get to go to a women's group or whatever. Like, first of all, I still find ways to work on my faith without getting out of the house. Like, I still make it a point to do my devotions and like I have my Hallow app that I do every day. I have my devotionals that I'll read, and like I spend a lot of time in prayer. And like sometimes when he's in adoration, I might not be in the church, but I'll take that same hour and like I'll pray the rosary or I'll do prayers. So like your prayer life might not look exactly the same for you and your husband, but it doesn't mean that it has to be non-existent, and like that's okay. Like, you being a mom to your children is probably like the greatest ministry of all at this point in your life. And so you might not be in a woman's group. You might not be out there like, you know, preparing sandwiches for the homeless or like being involved in like one of these ministries, but like you are ministering to your children and you are doing something very important. And the most sanctifying work that you can ever do is like being a mom. Like the most sanctifying, what draws you closer to the Lord, what teaches you about your selfishness, what helps you like realize how much you need the Lord because you're freaking going crazy. Like, it's being a mom. So I wouldn't say that I've dealt so much with jealousy. I've just like accepted like, this is where I'm at. One day perhaps it'll change, but what can I do in this moment to still work on my faith? And at the same time, it makes me so happy for him. It makes me so happy that I see him strengthening his faith, because the more that he's strengthening his faith, the better husband he's gonna be, the better father he's gonna be. So I'm all like, whatever you want. You wanna spend 5 nights a week at church? Go, because it's gonna help him, and in turn, it's gonna help our entire family. So my advice would be just to focus on that. Focus on the fact that it is so good if your partner, if your husband is getting time with the Lord, is spending time with prayer. It's good for him, it's good for you guys, good for your overall family. And then, yes, like obviously, like if there is some time where maybe you can swap, or maybe you can say, hey, can you watch the kids so I can go try to see if there's ways that you can do that. You know, can you wake up a little bit earlier just to pray for 5 minutes? Like prayer doesn't have to be like, you know, like, oh, I need to set aside a whole hour every single day to pray. Like, I don't do that. Like, I don't spend an entire hour, you know, praying every day. When I can, or when I feel like I'm being called to, okay? But it doesn't have to be like the super structured, I have to be doing this in a specific room at a certain time. Like, sometimes like you just wake up and you open your eyes and you say, thank you, Lord. Help me to like keep my cool today. Thank you for my children. Thank you for my husband. But yeah, I think the fact that that's even a question, and the fact that that is like even something like that's on your heart that you're asking about, it means that you're in a good place. Like, it means that like if you have to like fight over who's spending more time with Jesus, or whatever the case is, who's spending more time in prayer, it's not a really bad problem to have. It tells me that you guys are doing pretty well. And so with that being said, I'd like to let you guys know that, oh sorry, my camera is still plugged in. I have finished wrapping. So we've got Christmas presents wrapped, and I am a happy camper because I was really stressed about that. So thank you guys so much for chatting with me. I hope that you guys enjoyed just chit-chatting with me and listening to me. I hope you guys got your wrapping done too. And that's gonna be it for today's video. So if there's anything else you guys wanna ask or know about, or you guys want to see me kind of cover this coming year, let me know in the comments. I obviously want to make sure that I'm still like making videos that you guys want to see. And like YouTube is changing so much. Now YouTube wants us to freaking do like little short videos, and like everything is about shorts and like TikTok looking videos. And like I don't like short form content. Like, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I do not like making shorts or reels. Like sometimes you have to, because like you have to like try to like keep up with the algorithm and stuff. But I prefer any day just long form content, like vlogs, videos like this where I can chat and be lengthy, because I don't know how to do something that's not lengthy. So I'm trying to like navigate all of this world and like all of the changes, where I can still produce like videos like this that I like, and the vlogs and everything, but still maybe find like good ways to use like shorts and like, I don't know, informational stuff that maybe you guys do like to digest in like short form, like you don't want to watch a whole video on. So if there's any feedback you guys have on that, like what kinds of things you like to watch, whether it's shorts, whether it's regular videos, like let me know, because all of that is super helpful as I'm like gonna start thinking about the new year and like where my channel's going and like what I'm gonna be doing. At this point, I don't have a voice anymore, so I think I'm just gonna go. But this was so good. This was so nice to chat and to just talk to you guys, because I know I haven't been as chatty since I've been here. And I thank you guys all that were like, you don't have to explain yourself, you're with your family. Like, thank you. I love you guys for that. But at the same time, it's like, I miss it, because like this is what I do all the time. And so it's like weird to not do it, but I do still appreciate the time that I've had with my family. And we've done a lot of just like low-key stuff, which I love, but I still want to get some of the memories so I could look back on. So it's like a weird juggle. And I feel like displaced, like I haven't been in one settled place for a little while. And like every day I've had to go from the hotel to my mom's house, and it's been a lot, and it's been a little crazy. So this was nice and refreshing. So I love you guys. Again, Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you guys before Christmas, I'll still have a Christmas vlog, but if I don't talk to you guys here on YouTube before then, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have a great time with your families, and that you just soak in like all of the one-on-one time that you will hopefully have with your loved ones. And so that's it. I love you guys. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.